Well, wherever you are around the world, welcome in to the 25th edition of the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai. It is stage 4 today, 167.7 kilometres, and it comes off the back of a very exciting stage yesterday from Menyuan to Hushu, an opportunity for maybe the mountain climbers to come to the fore. But early on, there were a number of sprint stages up for grabs. Which one of these riders would get themselves in the green jersey by the end of the day? Alexander Selby and Jonathan Cathato, the two riders in the break, looking to maximise those sprint ace points. It was always going to be a tough day in the mountains, but this man did incredibly well. Jonas Rapp, the man riding for Phoenix Scom Hexiang cycling team, he would be superb all day. He would get to the top of the big climb and pick up maximum King of the Mountain points to move himself up into second place overall. It was always, though, going to come apart on the Beishan Mountain, with the riders hitting up to 11,000 feet. When it was all said and done, it was last year's overall champion, Henak Mulubran, the man from Eritrea, who would win yet another stage in a stunning performance. He is a remarkable bike rider. So heading into today's stage, it's just 1 second separating Jonathan Cathato and Henak Mulubran. Eric Fagundes, a man who finished second in this tour back in 2023, is poised in third place. As always, it is the traditional sign-in, an opportunity for the riders to be recognised and show off their trade colours and meet some of the locals in the town of Hushu. 22 trade teams in all, 1 World Tour team, 8 pro teams and 13 continental teams. Athletes from right around the world. For far as Denmark, New Zealand, Australia, and of course, the home nation, the People's Republic of China. Final bike checks, the boys from Burgos, the Spanish outfit, Caja Rural, another one of the Spanish teams looking to try and make a move today. And there he is, Henak Mulubran. And our man wearing the points jersey, Alexander Selby of the Li Ning Star team. Having a look at the temperature, 14 degrees, humidity at 92%, no real wind, which is the biggest concern for most professional bike riders. They'll start today at around about 8,000 feet. They will go as high as 12,500 feet. It is a tough day in the mountains. You must be comfortable with your head in the clouds. Our man in the yellow jersey, Jonathan Cathato from World Top Rota Chengdu team. Biggest concern he'll have today is maybe not a lot of support. John Ageti, who has been superb throughout this race, he starts today in the King of the Mountains jersey. Selby, who won stage 1, won 2 stages last year, is the dominant sprinter. And this man here, by Satakan, the road racing champion of Mongolia, wears the blue jersey for the best placed Asian rider in this year's peloton. 195.7 kilometres in all. Always an opportunity early on for a number of riders to try and get themselves into that initial break. And early on, it was an opportunity for the riders to try and get themselves up the road into the break, making sure you've had a good warm-up because you can be in the hurt box early on. Initially, a slight rise through the first 10.5 kilometres of this stage, and then the 10 kilometres following it relatively downhill as we do take in that course. There will be 3 sprint stages today at 28.8 kilometres, 51 kilometres and 112.3. 2 King of the Mountain stages. The first will come at 80 kilometres and the big one at 130.67 when they conquer the Zongolese mountain, a height of 3,823 metres. They'll take in Bayan, the towns of Yingxing, Hongya, and of course they will finish in the magnificent town of Gida. It's a challenging day. You've got to be comfortable, as I mentioned, with your head above the clouds. It is a day for the yellow jersey to continue to move. Big crowds will wait for them at the finish line. A fast last 50 kilometres all the way through to Gida. But first, They've got to get up the Zongolese mountain if they are to enjoy what should be a very fast finish through the Gita National Geopark. And we now bring in live images of this magnificent part of northwestern China. And we can tell you that we do have a couple of riders who are ahead of the peloton. Big Niels Sinchik, who actually won the stage into Gita back in 2023, having to go up this very same climb. And he would win it riding for the team Ablock. And he now finds himself at the front of the bike race. This is the peloton, approximately 4 minutes and 38 seconds back. We are expecting to see the likes of the Spanish teams, Euskaltel Ustadi, the team out of Kazakhstan, Astana, look to light it up, Caja Rural. It should be an epic battle through to the summit. As we go through there, and there is the man who wears that race leader's jersey, riding for the Wheel Top Rota Chengdu, Team Chengdu, a city of 20 million people here in China. Jonathan Cathido does not have a lot of real climbers in his team though. And there are the boys from Euskaltel Euskadi, the likes of John Agedi. He's poised, set to go. Mikhail Bizkara, very good mountain climber as well. And then the man, the Burgos boys just sitting there, the great Eric Fagundes, the man from Uruguay, who lost this race by a second back in 2023. When the great Eritrean rider, Hainok Mulubran, managed to just go clear and pick up a valuable couple seconds in the final stage in the town of Cheka, famous for its salt lakes. And there is John Agedi in the polka dot. Wonderful bike rider. Been a very aggressive all tour. King of the mountains. Well, it's only a small lead. He's got the 15 points. Jonas Rupp out of the Hengxiang cycling team sits in that category on 12 points alongside of him. Jonathan Cathido, our man wearing the yellow jersey. And it is the Astana boys who've got the pain train going. Expect this to come apart at the back, folks. A number of riders will just start to fall off as the altitude starts to have a real effect. That oxygen deprivation is really the killer in this race. And they'll just continue to tighten the screws, just continue to put the rest of these teams in the hurt box. See how long they can stay there. Just throw the key away. And you can just start to see there Alexander Selby, the sprinter. Wonderful racer. Boy, he is a good bike rider. When it's come to a sprint finish, throughout the entire season, he has won 48% of the sprints he's been involved in, just showing his dominance. And now looking at the road ahead. More and more riders just starting to fall off the back. It's just coming apart. Not just the speed that Astana are applying, but just as I mentioned, the oxygen deprivation. They will go today to an altitude of 12,500 feet, or in meters, we are looking at 3,823. You've got to find your happy place. They've all got their bike computers on. They'll all be just looking at heart rates, the amount of power they're putting out through each pedal stroke. The Cofidis boys sitting nicely there towards the front. They're riding for the great Emmanuel Buchmann, who finished fourth at the Tour de France back in 2019. Good team have Cofidis. Simon Carr, unfortunately, having to pull out, was part of a crash yesterday. And now just a wee, possibly just maybe a gear, just dropping a chain. I'm not sure it's a wheel change. And that's a little bit unlucky for that particular rider. Opportunity though, just to get back on. You've got to slow time down, no point panicking. That is the team from the Hengxiang cycling team. Number 155, well and truly in the hurt box, suffering. And that is Lu Mingji, one of the Chinese riders riding for the Body Wrap cycling team. As we go back towards the front. No talking going on here, folks. Just a lot of concentration. Got to have a head like granite. You've got to believe. At what point does someone look to try and attack this climb, or do they? Do they just look to try and get rid of the main sprinters and set it up yet again? In the case of Astana for Hainok Mulubran, who is a very, very good sprinter. Might just be the best sprinter amongst the climbers. Really nice shot there of Jonathan Cathido. Looking good, looking comfortable, looking controlled. The key thing is look at the form of the rider to determine whether they're in trouble or not the facial expressions. A lot of athletes will have that, what I call that ugly face, that war face, that pain face on. Others will, you wouldn't want to play poker with, because they'll have the poker face on even though they might be in a world of hurt. Look at the pedal motion, look at the circular motion, look at to see whether the shoulders are beginning to move, they're switching gears, or their cadence is starting to drop. Therefore, they're not spinning as much, they're starting to lean on the bigger gears. They're all signs of fatigue. Now, Jonathan Cathido, our race leader in yellow, is the Pan American champion back in 2016. As we go to the front of the bike race, this is Niels Sinchek, riding for Li Ning Star out of the Netherlands. As mentioned, this particular stage that finished in the town, in the town that we finished in today, Gita, that was stage 2 back in 2023, and he won that day. He's a very aggressive bike rider, can always gets himself in the brakes. He's a tall man. He knows how to hurt. He knows how to suffer, and is a significant lead that he still has over the rest of the peloton. He is a street fighter, folks. He is a warrior. So he's 28 years of age, from Maastricht in the Netherlands. There's one stage, as I said, there's only professional stage win did come in this race back in 223. He's had a couple of second places in stages. The Tour of Kumano, Poyang Lake. He was 8th on GC in the Tour of Hainan here in China back in 2025. It's still Astana, it's Cofidis on the front, just slowly tightening the screws. Good critical mass still in the peloton though. So no one's really launched an attack at the moment, so it might just stay together. The question is, which of the sprinters is still in the group? Are there any of the traditional sprinters in this group? Does that then set it up for Hainok Mulubran yet again? There he is, the man from Eritrea, riding for the Astana team. And what a team it is. He's got plenty of support. He's got quality. They are the only World Tour team in this year's race. Christian Rodriguez, who was superb yesterday, will be riding for him. They've got the likes of Darren Van Beckham, Pierre-Henri Basset, the French rider, and of course the great Kazakhstan rider himself, Anton Kuzmin. So just some of the images and some of the wonderful landmarks that are waiting for the riders at the finish line here in the city of Gita. And this was earlier on today. And the first sprint, I think, might have been going the way of Simon Pellot, the Danish rider riding for Li Ning Star, picking up valuable points as well. He got into that break early. And Simon Pellot, Yuri Latau. Now, he is a very good bike rider for Caja Rural, and if he can survive the climb today, he's certainly capable of winning the sprint. And then it would be the two boys yet again from Li Ning Star, battling it out for the third of the sprints at 112.3 kilometres, and Roman Shishku Niels Sinchik picking up first and second there in that sprint. Now just going to the live pictures there, we've got the boys from Euskaltel who's starting to just attack and just starting to put a bit more of a squeeze on. And that was earlier today, the top of the climb as well. First of the climbs, Sinchik picking up 3 points. Raymond Shishkoot picking up 2 points. But this is the chase group looking to chase down Niels Sinchik. Interesting there to see our man in yellow moving towards the front. Doesn't want to get himself too isolated. Fascinating bike race. These riders will just be hoping they can survive to the top. They know it is an incredibly long run through to the finish line for all of them. Approximately have about 55, 56 kilometres of downhill and flat once they do get to the top. So it's in everybody's best interest to just try and stay in this group. And if they do fall off the back, hopefully you've got the downhill skills to ride themselves back on. So just officially coming through race radio, we are understanding that it is around 2:30, 2:45 there or thereabouts between Niels Sinchik and this chase group. Running through that team, that Spanish team of Euskaltel, Euskadi, John Aguirre, of course Unai Asna, Mikel Biscara, Samuel Fernandez. We've got Louis Sutton out of Great Britain riding in that team as well. So well supported is Aguirre, Mikel Biscara, who rode superbly yesterday as well for the team in orange. So happy just to set a really good solid tempo. There's some really difficult stages still to come in this tour. As we just have a look at Su Hayu from the Astana team. He is the road racing champion. At the Tour de France and the Grand Tours that'll just open the floodgates, and we'll see a revolution in this country like we're seeing in places like Eritrea with the likes of Bini Girmay, with the likes of what Henok Mulubran have done for that African nation. So just officially coming through race radio, we're told that that time gap has now gone down to 2 minutes and 26 seconds. And that is the remnants of the peloton there. So I think Henok Mulubran will be happy with that. He'll be looking to try and win the sprint today, pick up those bonus seconds and move into the yellow jersey. And here he is, the big Dutch rider. He's got the deep carbon rim wheels on. He'll have a very big chain ring on the back there, a climbing gear. He is on a small chain ring on the front. A lot of the bikes are set up these days just with the one chain ring, but it depends on the profile of the stage. And so he's not spinning particularly high. He tends to have a slightly lower cadence, so he tends to lean a little bit more on the pedals. He's a big tall man though, and now we start to see a little bit of an improvement in the cadence. Looks comfortable though, doesn't he? Or maybe he's just starting to crack now. Maybe he's just starting to pop a little bit. You saw that facial expression, shaking the head. He'll just be wanting to get to the top of the climb and then join the rest of the peloton. But you do have to admire him. A very, very aggressive bike rider. So the Burgos boys, Josh Burnett, the New Zealander, unfortunately withdrawing today. Was part of a heavy crash yesterday. Crashed 3 weeks ago. He's had a great season, Burnett. So they'll be relying on Eric Fagundes, the likes of Rodrigo Alvarez, the Mongolian rider, the great Jambalance Zanbayat, and Clement Alino. So, hearing again through race radio, at times now down to 155. So I think Neil Sinchik, I think his day is possibly done. Just survival mode now, as we take in some of the remarkable scenery at an altitude of almost 12,500 feet. A very nomadic population in this part of China. As mentioned, you've got to be very comfortable with your head above the clouds. It's amazing the impact that altitude can have on the riders. No opportunity to acclimatise, to come here 3 weeks before and utilise the opportunity for the body to make the physiological and biological adjustments. So you automatically notice that your heart rate and your breathing increase when you're at this altitude. Within 24 to 48 hours being here, your body naturally starts to produce EPO. After 5 to 7 days at altitude, you start to see an increase in red blood cell production. But really, it's about being here 2 to 3 weeks is most beneficial for adaptation. And, you know, a lot of athletes will spend an awful lot of time training at altitude or living high, training low. There's a bit of a thought on when altitude does start to kick in, but really once you get up to around 5,000 feet, that's really when the body does begin to really detect reduced oxygen, and the athletes really do start to notice it. So you can imagine at 5,000 feet, well today they're going up to 12,000 feet, and you've got these bike riders who are just saying, well okay, I think I handle it a little bit better, now let's see how you handle it. And they are just starting to put everybody in the box. You can just see it starting to spread out. This is where the gaps do start to open up a little bit. You've got to concentrate. You can just have a look at Jonathan Cathato there in the yellow jersey. He is really just fighting his machine. He is just focusing on that wheel in front of him, just concentrating, hoping, believing that he can get to the top of the climb, enjoy the downhill, and then put himself in contention into that final sprint into the town of Gita. And just going back, this will be the front of the bike race. Nils Sinchik. And he still has got a long way to go to the top, hasn't he? And it's just starting to come back for the big fella. Yeah, he's waved the white flag now. The concentration's gone. He has basically popped Billy Joel and the song the Piano Man's playing in his ears, and piano's landed on his back, and unfortunately almost the whole orchestra now. He is in a world of hurt, but what an athlete. I cannot describe you the heart of this man. Head like granite. Tough, tough bike rider. So just trying to get out of the seat, just use different muscle groups. It is important. And we see the Euskaltel boys on the front, just continuing to drive. Also out of the seat, Henok Mulubran there. Two-time champion. Looking concentrated, I think is probably the best way. Also sitting there, the likes of Emmanuel Bookman from Kofidis. We've got the Burgos boys still looking comfortable. Clement Alino, Eric Fagundes, Cesar Macias. And there it goes, and I'm not even sure that big Nils Sinchik will actually maybe even be able to handle the peloton. So it is the Euskadi boys who are doing the damage, putting everybody in the hurt box, folks. And he has been caught, so it has come together. Man in the King of the Mountains jersey, John Ageti from Euskotelu Stadi, showing his quality in Class 2. So they are 1 and 2 on the road. And then we've got the boys from Astana, and they have the ability for the 1-2 punch in the days coming to work over the man who currently sits on GC, Jonathan Cathito from Wheeltop Road at Chengdu team there in the yellow jersey. Now they start to go across the road, and look at the size of this peloton here. Attack now coming from one of the Caja Rural riders, looking to really try and launch something towards the top of the climb, and that might just be Samuel Fernandez. He's been a very aggressive bike rider in this race. And in fact, I think it's Enrico Zanincello, possibly, the sprinter, just trying to get a bit of a read on it, just trying to pick up a number from him. I can't imagine it is Zanincello, but maybe we can just pick up that number on the back. It's number 37, so it is Jan Castellon, a Spanish rider, so really good gutsy effort from him. John and Callow, my apologies. I thought it might have been 17 from Team Bardiani. Of course, it is Caja Rural. So that's good attack from him, trying to get to the mountain. Trying to see if he can pick up some King of the Mountain points. He's actually only 12 seconds back on GC too, so he certainly is a rider who has the ability to win this tour, but I'm not sure that he is the designated man for Caja Rural. Samuel Fernandez might just be the guy they're ultimately riding for. So not a particularly steep gradient through this part of the climb, 4%, probably more just a bit of a power climb. It's the fact, though, that they're starting to get above 12,000 feet above sea level, or well up into around 3,800 metres there or thereabouts, depending on what sort of measurement system you use these days. Use the imperial or the metric system. So he's got a 7-second lead. Look at that nice smooth pedal cadence. Good bike rider, much high cadence. So he's a guy who likes to spin a lot more. But the Astana boys, you can just see the aggression in the back line. This is just going to hurt everybody else, because the Astana boys are starting to dial it up and out. Just has a wee look over the shoulder of that Astana boy. He says to the rest of the riders, "You hungry? You're looking a bit hungry, boys? Well, I'm about to feed you a little bit of hurt." And that's what is going on. It's a beautiful thing, folks. Oh, look at that grimace, that war face, the pain face, the ugly face, however you want to describe it. But this is an inherent quality I'm not sure you can necessarily teach people to suffer. You've either got it or you haven't. And still a long way to go to the summit. They know, though, when they do get to the top, they're going to have this remarkable run through to the finish line of around about 55 to 60 kilometres. So it's going to be fast, it's going to be furious. And this small group, if you're looking at the group left on the road, and it does come down to a sprint finish, you've got to suggest that Hanoch Mulubran again is probably favoured to win it. If he is to win the stage, he gets a 10-second time bonus. He's 1 second behind Jonathan Cathado at the moment. Cathado did brilliantly yesterday to finish second on Mulubran's wheel, and therefore move into the yellow by just that 1 second. Now, what is going through the head of this man? Ouch. Bonfires just attacking the legs. Razor blades attacking the lungs. You're trying to get oxygen in anywhere you can, and you are literally breathing through your eyelids, because that is the only part the oxygen is going into. As we drop back and have a look at our man in the blue jersey, our top leading Asian rider, a man out of Mongolia. But look at the carnage. And when you go, you go. You've just got to find your happy place. Hope for a few more riders to come through. Get on your nutrition, your drinks, get your calorie intake right. And we just saw there a shot too of Muhawi Kudus, another man from Eritrea, number 27, and he is the African Continental Champion. That's why he is wearing that championship jersey. He is riding for Burgos. But young Castellon riding superbly. Really good attack. Pick up some valuable points. He's just enjoying the slightly flatter part of this climb. You can just see that cadence in peak. He's just enjoying the power climb that it's providing him. He's got the little switchbacks. He'll have an opportunity just to have a wee back look across at the peloton, get an idea of what that time gap is. But he'll also now just be trying to break this climb down in his head. He'll be aware of how far there is to go, and it'll just be small pieces. As we just go back and have a look at some of the sprint points that came up for grabs earlier on today. Raymond Shishku picking up 5 points. Enoch Mulubran picking up a point as well. And Big Niels Sinchek picking up 3 points for finishing second. Right back at the front of the bike race. Jacket starting to go on from some of the teams. Still looks like not necessarily the lead group. This is another one of the groups that have just dropped off the back. Might be the third group on the road at the moment. Team Polti Visit Malta, the Italian team there with the red shorts, the white with green sleeves and the red patch with the team name on it. It's still the Astana boys, so number 12 now starting to just go off the front of the peloton. And that is one of the boys coming there from Bardiani, deciding to have a little bit of a crack and just put a bit of pressure on. That's Edward Cruz. Cruz, another one of these very good riders out of South America, out of Colombia, born in Bogota, 20 years of age. So just a young rider deciding to have a little bit of a crack. There's one nation who are comfortable with their head above the clouds. And driving the train for Astana on the front is Darren van Beckham. Another one of the Dutch riders riding for Astana. Oh, the brutality of it, folks. It is a beautiful thing, isn't it? You often look at the distance of a stage and you look at it and you go, what, 195.7 kilometres? And normally I'd sort of say, look, 150 kilometres hope and 45 kilometres of truth, but really it was about 110 kilometres of hope today and about 90 odd kilometres of truth. Been questions asked of them, and a lot of these riders answering those questions, somewhat struggling with the answers. Still Hainok Mulubran just sitting there nicely. Yellow jersey still there. Riders from Cofidis in that group. Eric Fagundes from Burgos still in the group. All the big names are just sitting there. Also in that group there, number 163, Lucas de Rossi from the China Anton Mentek cycling team. '97, Otto van Zanden, riding for the 7-Eleven team, and in fact riding for the Azerion Villa Valkenborg team. 101, Matthew Greenwood from the Cachet Body Wrap team. This is the second group on the road behind the peloton. As we now have a look at the front group. So we've got a couple of riders just out in front at the moment. We've got the Jan Castellon And he is very shortly about to be joined by the man from Bardiani, Edward Cruz. And that peloton, though, still just starting to shut it down. So 26 seconds we've been told through race radio that gap is now out to. 1 kilometre to the top of the mountain for all of these riders. Boy, that'll be a relief at the top. Superb bike riding from both of them. Superb bike riding for all of the athletes in this main group. Remember, they are at 3,800 metres. They're at 12,500 feet. They've got their heart rates high. There's oxygen deprivation. And amongst all of this, they find a level of enjoyment. You've got to be a bit different. Nice look at that gear ratio there. They'll all have their bikes set up slightly different in terms of the size of the clusters on the back, the number of teeth on their smallest chainring, on their smallest cog, to the largest cog in that cluster, to the number of teeth they have on their front chain rings or their bottom brackets. But still, just like in this from Astana, Hanoch Mulubrand still just looks comfortable, doesn't he? Second wheel, two-time winner. King of the Mountains points, John Agedi from Euskadi just sitting there third wheel, also looking comfortable. Our yellow jersey leader, Jonathan Cathado, still in there. No real team support around him. The Burgos boys, they're just sitting back quietly. Burgos, well, they have the sort of the purple shoulder sleeve and then sort of more of a crimson slash pink with a white sash running through their uniform. But Astana really just also, it's about putting a lot of hurt on these riders. It's about the stages ahead. It's about seeing how well they recover after the end of today's stage. Make it as hard as you can. But it's going to be a small, very exclusive group. For Gundes is there, number 24. There he is, the big man out of Uruguay. Really unlucky back in 2023 to lose this stage by just a second. But that is the top of the mountain, folks. This is the Jonglise mountain at 3,823 metres. And it will be this man who will grab the line honours at the top of the climb. Really good performance from him. He will pick up valuable King of the Mountain points. And now they will enjoy a remarkable run through to the finish line of around about 60 kilometres. It'll be fast, it'll be furious, it'll be downhill. Not too much will expect it to happen. And it'll come down to a sprint finish. But certainly, with the size of that peloton and how heavily it's been reduced, if it does come down to those 15 to 20 riders in that group, well, it will favour the man from Eritrea. He has a proven track record of winning stages, Hanoch Mulubrand. It'll be up to Jonathan Cathado to see if he can try and win the stage to stay in that yellow jersey, or hope that someone possibly like Eric Fagundes, the likes of John Agedi, Samuel Fernandez, potentially wins the stage and he can find himself in second place. So a lot of mathematics will be played out by the team leaders, the coaches in the cars, the radios will be sending them messages, giving them the data, telling them how things play out. Beautiful countryside, stunning. So I think I've said it on every stage, but when you're up in this part of China, you may as well be, you could be anywhere in Scandinavia, Europe, South America, Canada, the likes of New Zealand. It really is remarkable. As we do just take in some of the remarkable landscapes. And now looking to just try and ride himself up is the man from Bardiani, Edward Cruz, always good to have a couple of riders that you can share the lead with. You can get into the slipstream of, roll through, take a turn each. I do imagine at some point, though, that the remnants of the peloton will catch these two, and we will have a significant group that will ultimately decide who wins this particular stage. As we just go back and take in the top of the climb up the Zhongulese mountain at 3,823 metres or 12,500 feet. And this was the rest of the group trying to just maybe pick up that extra point, and it will go the way of our current man in the King of the Mountains jersey, and that of course is John Argeti. So he'll pick up valuable points. And now just have a look at some of the speeds they'll hit here, folks. They will hit some very, very fast speeds. Don't expect them to get up around 100 kilometres an hour, a lot of these riders. Just sitting back and enjoying this one. There's the man that... A couple of little undulations here, but predominantly all downhill. So it's amazing, isn't it, when you look at those mountains in the background, these riders here, they've come down a little bit, probably still at around 3,500 metres, 3,600 metres above sea level, and look at the mountains in the background. You do ask, well, if we're this high, how high are they? Certainly an amazing part of the world. And it's amazing too, all these bikes set up with the old rim brakes these days. Sorry, the disc brakes, the old rim brakes. Well, they tended to slow the bike by squeezing the wheel brakes, by squeezing the wheel's sort of braking surface, the rim itself. Disc brakes, they sort of use a separate steel rotor, and it's attached to the wheel hub with hydraulic calipers squeezing the rotor. Now, probably the real advantage, and certainly on the downhill with the disc brakes, you've got much greater braking power, more consistent in your braking. It requires a lot less hand strength, and don't underestimate that too when you're braking a lot. And I guess better modulation, or sort of more control over exactly how much braking force is applied. And probably more beneficial in the wet too. When you've got the old traditional rim brakes, you'd sort of water almost needed to be wiped off the rim first, and that sort of initial braking was always delayed. And if you had the rim brakes these days on the carbon rims, they're very, very slippery. So disc brakes, well, it takes all of that out as we take in some of the remarkable scenery. And there is Henok Mulubran, the man from Eritrea. 1 second back, looking to try and move into that yellow jersey today. And just getting some team instructions. Taking on board the high-calorie food that they require. And it's really important that they're eating and drinking consistently throughout this stage. They do a lot of science, they do a lot of data in terms of calorie output, how many calories they need to consume over an hour. It'll vary based on the intensity of their race, based on their own individual needs, and then it'll come down to the athlete's preference. What do I want to eat? What do I want to drink? That's going to give me the sustenance, that's going to give me the energy. Is it solid food? Is it more of a gel-based food? Is it coming through liquids? There's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's all around just individual data and experience as we still continue to look at our man leading this particular stage at the front of the bike race, Edward Cruz. Not really sure in understanding why he necessarily is looking to try and ride away from this peloton. He's really just been hung out at the moment as we go back and look at our man in the yellow jersey. And he unfortunately just doesn't have, in his Wheel Top Rotor Chengdu team, he just doesn't really have a lot of climbers. He's got Petra Rukanov, who's more of a sprinter. Rukanov, a man who was born in Russia, considers himself more of a sprinter rather than climber, does Rukanov. So he is up against it today. But he's a street fighter, he's a warrior. He knows how to hold a wheel, he knows how to position himself and benefit off the back of other teams. And that's one of the great scenes, isn't it? This sort of nomads of this part of China out there on these horses and going along. One rider falling off there, that's no good with the flags. Hopefully he's okay. Does just give you an idea though of how quick the riders are going. It is one of the great spectacles. Proud nation. You've got to be you've got to be incredibly tough, in fact, to live at these extraordinary heights in these conditions. As we now have a look at some of the speeds that they will hit. Most of the bends and stuff are relatively wide and sweeping, so nothing too technical. And just having a look at the setup there. So carbon rims again, not particularly deep. He'll be in his big chainring there on the front, his smallest cog at the back. If you're a non-cycling aficionado, that'll be a gear ratio. So let's assume that he's got his smallest chainring on the back there, or cluster, is an 11, and then his biggest chainring on the front is a 56. His gear ratio is simply known as a 56-11, and then you might go 56-12, 56-13. Some will have 2 chain rings on the front that their pedal cranks are attached to. An inside chain ring, which is smaller, which is more of a climbing, used for climbing. And they might run, let's say, a 39 on the inside, and their biggest cog on the back of their bike on their cluster, let's say, is a 27. You'd be running a 39-27, and that would be probably used on a very, very steep hill climb. Great sight, isn't it? And the team vehicles there. Got to be a highly skilled driver too, just to keep up with these riders down some of these roads. Tell you, we've got a world-class camera crew out from the Netherlands. We've also got very experienced Chinese crews out there on the motorbikes with the cameras as well. Sebastian Vervant, one of the great helicopter cameramen, bringing you these images. It's a really wonderful collaboration between Europe and Asia as we look at some of the great traditions, some of the great clothing, and it's almost got a bit of a Mongolian feel up here in this part of China. As we just have a look at this remarkable scenery, rapeseed there, the yellow flower that you do often see, a lot of wheat in this part of the China too. Good crowd waiting for the riders at the finish line here in the city of Gita. It's got a really is a very welcoming town. Incredibly excited about having another stage in another year of the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai, the 25th edition. It's a tough little finish actually up to the finish line. They'll come through a 1,000 metre or 1 kilometre to go through the streets of Gita, and then they about 200 or 300 metres after that sign, they take a hard left, and then it is a run up to the finish line with a slight uphill gradient on it. But look at that, the pain train, eh? All the passengers on board. We've got the conductor on the front. And they're hitting some wonderful speeds and enjoying this downhill. Exciting. It's a good time to, it's when you want to be a bike rider. Enjoy just hitting the downhill sections, cutting the apex, cutting the corners. And so just having a look here at this group, we are with the yellow jersey sitting there comfortably, number 202, our race leader. As we look at this front group, still Astana on the front looking to try and drive things. Sitting there still Eric Fagundes from Burgos, hitting some very good speeds of almost 100 kilometres an hour down these hills at times. For the last 20 kilometres of this race, it will be predominantly flat with some undulations. Got the boys there from Cofidis as well, sitting comfortably in that group. Talked earlier about the importance of disc brakes versus rim brakes and the efficiency they now provide. And got greater braking power, more consistent braking, requires less hand strength, which is important as we look at Hainak Mulubran, two great friends there. There is Eric Fagundes from Burgos. Our man in the King of the Mountains jersey, John Agedi from Euskotelu Stadi. Mulubran almost just making a fatal mistake, the two-time champion. But it will stay together, this group. They will enjoy this descent. Really, really good ride, though, being shown by Jonathan Cathito from the World Top Rotor Chengdu team, because he doesn't actually have a lot of support. No real team around him, so he's going to have to survive today. He's going to really have to try and see if he can win this stage to stay in that yellow jersey just with that 1 second time gap. The winner of today's stage will pick up a 10-second time bonus. It'll be 6 seconds for second. Now, if Mulubran wins the stage today, he will move into yellow. He is the best sprinter amongst this group of riders. They're just going to need to work him over. The thing that benefits Hainak Mulubran is the fact that he does have other riders from Astana with him who can lead out. Hand goes up, just says, hey, I need one of the support vehicles to come through. Want to grab myself something to drink, something to eat. So we got doing a really good job. Got to have good bike handling skills. Number 174 just sitting there in that group, riding incredibly well today, is Benjamin Dibble, who is one of the Australian riders riding for the Phoenix Scom Hengjiang cycling team. As we just have a look at some lovely little slow-mo shots, having a look at the equipment, the setup these days of much wider bike tyres than what traditionally used, a lot less pressure in them. Nice work there between the Astana boys, Hainak Mulubran, number 3, and number 5, Darren van Beckham, the Dutch rider. But these two still continuing to just absolutely chuck it down, working together beautifully, really high cadence. They're almost just maximising. They almost can't go any quicker than they're riding right now. Really high cadence, hardest gears they've got. And that's really what it's about. It's about the highest cadence you can get to in the hardest gear. And that is really just what speed is all about in a bike race. Now, there is Eric Fagundes. He is just dropping back and talking to his team leader. And that team leader for Burgos is an outstanding man, John Dam, an Australian. Very experienced. And now Mulubran again putting the hand up, number 3 there. Enjoying the support that they are getting from the side of the road. As we take in some of the scenery. So they're dropping down. Eventually the town of Gida for the finish line. It sits at an altitude of 3,275 metres. Now the highest point they went to today, as mentioned earlier, was 3,874 metres, or 12,500 feet. That was the summit of the Zongolese mountain. So they do come down a significant way. And we currently sit at the finish line at 7,358 feet. So almost coming down 5,000 feet in altitude. Or to use the metric system, we sit at an altitude of 2,242 metres above sea level at the finish line, coming down from that height, as mentioned earlier, of 3,874 metres. So it's amazing to consider just how high these mountains are in the background. As we see the fields of rapeseed used for canola oil, those yellow flowers you see in the background. But when they do start getting close to the town of Gita, check out some of the scenery, folks. You would swear that you're almost in the Grand Canyon. Such is the diversity this particular part of China does offer. So just a lovely little power climb there. The boys hit it nicely, don't they? 325 metres there ahead of the peloton. Look at that, eh? You could be anywhere in Europe, Scandinavia, North America, South America, Canada, New Zealand. That's what I'm talking about. As we get closer to the town of Gita, this sort of orange, deep, rich, earthy-looking mountains become even more apparent. And it sort of reminds you of maybe even Cappadocia and places like Turkey. It is simply remarkable. Beautiful part of the country, beautiful part of the world. You mix that with the Chinese cuisine, and it very much is worth travelling to. I'm going to come shortly into the Yellow River, which runs through this region. But now we're starting to get to that run through to the finish line, coming off the descent, now coming onto a more flatter part of the course, with the last 20 kilometres or so predominantly flat. Will it be back-to-back stage victories for Hanoch Mulu-Brand, or one of the other bike riders, the likes of Eric Fagundes, look to try and maybe steal the stage today? Just going through that overall GC at the moment. Jonathan Cathado, total time through 3 stages of 11 hours, 18 minutes and 31 seconds. Just the 1 second lead over Hanoch Mulu-Brand of the Astana team. Then we've got Eric Fagundes of Burgos, who's 8 seconds off our race leader, 7 seconds back behind Mulu-Brand. Then John Aguirre of Euskaltel Ustadi is 9 seconds back. Samuel Fernandez of Caja Rural is also 9 seconds back. Christian Rodriguez, the second of the Astana boys, is 10 seconds back. And then you've got Alex Taleo of Bardiani. So you've got maybe 14 or 10 riders who potentially could end up maybe moving into that yellow jersey, or certainly moving them up into the top 3, which is probably a more honest account of what's at stake today for these bike riders. Tough climb to the top today of the Zongolese mountain. Brutal climb, one of many. This is one of the hardest races anywhere in the world. It's one of the highest altitude stage races in the world. I'll just run through those in that lead group. In this chase group at the moment, you've got Christian Rodriguez, you've got Hanoch Mulu-Brand. Out of Astana, the boys from Bardiani include Edward Cruz, Martin Herreno, Alicio Martinelli, Alex Taleo. So Bardiani certainly have strength in the peloton for the 1-2 punch if they wish to attack, if they wish to force the likes of Astana to chase. We've got Eric Fagundes from Burgos, Emmanuel Buchmann from Cofidis, John Aguirre and Miguel Biscara from Euskaltel Euskadi. We've got the likes of Fernando Tercero from the Poulty Visit Malta team. We've got Christian Bagatin and Diego Bracalinte from the MBH Bank CSB Telecom Fort team. Matthew Greenwood is in that group, part of the Cachet Body Wrap team. Outstanding ride from him. We've got Eduardo Sepulveda riding for Li Ning Star there. Jonathan Cathado, the yellow jersey. We've got Ricardo Aguirre, or Hunan Aguirre, is also in the group. So 20 riders in the peloton, 2 riders are clear as we have a look at the Gita National Park. Take the scenery in, folks. Drive through here. It is just awe-inspiring. It's hard to describe what you're seeing. You're like, why is this not one of the great landmarks of the world? Why is this not maybe get the coverage other parts of the world get? Because it is incredibly unique. A little overcast today, so maybe not popping out the way it does on a sunny day, but boy, what a part of the world. And very shortly we'll see the Yellow River come in to play, and these riders will be starting to think about getting themselves organised. So just looking at the teams in that leading peloton, we've got 4 riders from Bardiani in the group. We've got 2 riders from Astana. We've got 2 riders from Euskadi. We've got 2 riders from MBH Bank. Now, if you've got numbers in the break, you've got the opportunity for the 1-2 punch. Send a rider up the road, force the other teams to chase. They catch him, you go again. But then you've got to be careful you're not then hit. So, fascinating stuff. And now we do start to see Astana begin to look to shut this break down a little bit. Look to Stavey just start to put a bit of hurt on everybody else. So big bold move coming. It is that man, Darren van Beckham, the Dutch rider. And so one big long line. And that is the Yellow River that runs along this national park, the Gita National Park. And will be coming so 21.8 kilometres to go. And you can just see how it is still spread out. A few little gaps starting to open up. Nothing significant. But it just means everybody's going to have to concentrate. They're going to have to work for it. So just having a look at the front of the bike race, it is still Jan Castellon, the rider out of Spain, riding for Caja Rural, who is in that break. His best result, 2025, 5th in the Tour of Hungary. As again, we just pop our head up to take in scenery that maybe a lot of people around the world aren't aware of or haven't seen before. Here in this Guangxi region, Qinghai region, my apologies, Tour of Guangxi, of course, later in the year in October, part of the World Tour event. Stunning part of the world too, Guangxi. Boy, that's where the Karst Mountains are, with the water that you see in a lot of the advertising when they are advertising China, I guess, to trying to attract tourists. So Qinghai, absolutely stunning. It's all over the road at the moment. Great to see there the great Emmanuel Buchmann for Kofidis. And look at that. Wow, what can you say? That is just simply remarkable. The scenery, it almost doesn't look real. It is that unique. It is that special. Oh, the Astana boys really putting the hammer down. Absolutely just driving it now. Seeing if they can just put some hurt on. The question is, where is Hainok Mulu-Brant? They don't want to burn their own man. Boys from Bardiani in there as well. So best placed rider from the Bardiani CSF 7 Sabre team is Alex Taleo. He currently sits 12 seconds back. If he was to pick up a stage win today, he would pick up a bonus 10 seconds. That would certainly put him well and truly into yellow jersey contention in the days coming. It wouldn't put him in the yellow jersey today necessarily, or tomorrow. And also Santiago Herreno from Bardiani. He currently sits in 15th on GC, but he's 2 minutes and 6 seconds down. So just 17.7 kilometres to go. It's a fast run through the finish. A couple of little undulations still to come though. Really is just spreading this group out on the road though. Asking some real questions. As we drop back into what is the second group, or the second major group on the road. There's a couple of race leaders up front. Then we've got the main peloton, and this is the group behind. And there is Mahawi Kudos, the man who is the African Continental Road Racing Champion. That's why he is in that jersey with his trade colours incorporated into it. Another rider from Eritrea, an African nation who really are just setting the standard in regards to bike riding for the African continent as we now sweep over the Yellow River. A lot of rain overnight, so it was flowing very, very fast today in the town of Gita on a little offshoot that runs through that particular town where they finish. Just enjoy some of the wonderful scenery. Yellow River, the second longest river in China, as we go back to the front of the bike race. Still got our two race leaders out in front. That is the man on the front, Jan Castellon, and alongside of him, Santiago Umba. So one rider from Spain, one rider from Colombia. Colombians always comfortable with the head above the clouds, aren't they? Nice, good bike riders. Now that main chase group looks a little disorganised. In fact, this might be the third group on the road at the moment. Trying to see if they can bridge up to that group with the race leaders in it. And this is in fact that front group, so there is the race leader in the yellow jersey. So my apologies, that was in fact the front group. 163, look, is Lucas De Rossi riding for the China Rantam Entech team, just coming back to grab a drink bottle. Be a great result if these two could stay away today. I'm not sure it'll happen with just 15 seconds. I'm not sure Astana will allow it to happen. I think they would like to try and set this up for Hainok Mulu-Brant, win the sprint, pick up the bonus points, move into the yellow jersey, and then look to defend it over the following 4 days. And there is Hainok Mulu-Brant, supported by two boys from Bardiani. Eric Fagundes is there from Burgos at the front. The rider there from Leaning Star as well. Good, really nice high cadence. Really, really beautiful bike rider. The man on the front from Qinghai Rural. These riders here looking to try and bridge the gap, try and bridge across. See if they can join that front group. Got to be a little bit careful they don't look at each other too much. It's when things can get just a little bit disorganised. Also, there'll be riders from the teams that have riders in that front group that'll be sending a message back saying, hey, look, don't help. We don't really want the bunch to come together, sit on the back, act as passengers, or get to the front, disrupt a little bit. Let's just try and make sure that we just keep things together. Looks like that group, though, has got significantly bigger, so I just wonder whether they've seen a few riders right onto the back of it, which should make it a very, very interesting final sprint into the town of Gita, which is what, just over 10 kilometres now, 12.5 kilometres away. It is a tough little finish. They've got, when they hit the 1 kilometre marker, they literally 200 metres after that have to take a hard left. And then it's a long sprint with just the slightest uphill through to the finish line. Heinok Mulubran sitting currently about 15th there in the Astana colours, just right, almost on the right-hand side of the road on the paint white lines. Happy to let the two gentlemen out in front at the moment continue to lead this bike race. So 26 seconds is still that gap. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Just have a sneaking feeling that this group is just going to be too good and the peloton too fast. They're going to need to work together though. So certainly the second group has joined this front group now. So we've got a much bigger critical mass that are going to ultimately end up deciding this particular stage of this bike race. And what is going through the minds of these two riders? Santiago Umba, very, very good bike rider. Love the colours. It's a stunning looking race uniform, isn't it? The Solution Tech Nippo Rally team. Predominantly an Italian team. And Jean Castellon from Qinghai Rural, who actually have a team riding in the Tour de France this year. Both similar bike setups, deep carbon rim wheels, fairly even. Look at that nice smooth pedal cadence there. You want to make sure you just maintain that power through the full 363 degrees. You want nice soft hands, nice relaxed upper body. These riders look like they are still pretty comfortable. Getting into that little tuck position up on the hoods of their handlebars. And really putting the power down. It's beautiful bike riding. There's a lot of indecision in this chase group. Now, another rider going up. It's one of the Astana boys by the looks of it, looking to launch off the front, seeing if they can maybe just shut this down, because one of the Cofidis boys have gone. It might be. And Emmanuel Boekman, just trying to pick up a number. Looked like possibly Darren Van Beckham from the Astana team was the one on the front doing the chasing. So 21 seconds is now the time gap, and there goes the likes of Heinok Mulubran, now on the front of that chase group. Sitting back there though, just not having to do any work at the moment, just acting as a bit of a passenger, is our current race leader, Jonathan Cathado from the Wheeltop Rota Chengdu team. And now a little bit of indecision. So our man from Cofidis finds himself a little bit in no man's land. Can he ride his way up to the other two riders? Now, another big surge from the chase group. 9.8 kilometres to go. Fascinating bike race beginning to play out. All the big players are there. For Gundy's is set. Just pull back here. We'll get a really good look here. Wonderful work from our helicopter crew. And the Cofidis team. So it is the great Emmanuel Buchmann from Cofidis. We'll talk about this a lot, but fourth at the Tour de France back in 2019. Second on GC in the Tour of Hungary back in 2024. Was fourth on GC, the UA Tour back in 2019. Third in the stage in the Tour de France back in 2015. So he is a quality bike rider. And we're experienced campaigner these days at 33 years of age. So that's how things are playing out on the road. These two are riding scared at the moment. The peloton is on the charge. The only thing that allow these two riders to stay away is if that chase group start looking at each other. If the teams start going, no, you chase, no, you chase. And in those moments, you just allow these two to continue to get away. It'll be interesting if Emmanuel Buchmann can ride up to them, because then it will be better for these two to have a third rider, another wheel to sit on. Another little, just a slightly longer relief period before you roll through and take your turn on the front. So things start to gear up, particularly back in the group. At this point, it's just physical for these two riders. They are just hurting, they are just suffering, they're just concentrating. For the peloton, the chase group, it starts to just get a little bit more tactical now as we have a look at Emmanuel Buchmann. Just trying to just hug every part of that apex, just trying to take the straightest line he can to reduce the distance. And so he is absolutely in the hurt box, isn't he? He's just locked himself in the hurt box, throwing the key away. And it just comes down to who can suffer the most. And this is what I talk about, just this peloton just looking at each other and no real cohesion. And as long as they do that, that gap just continues to open up. It's up to the Astana boys here if they want to try and get this man, number 3, Moody Bryan, into the yellow jersey. He'll want to try and pick up some bonus seconds in the sprint. And now one of the boys from Bardiani CSF 7 Sabre, the Italian team, has now come up as well. So 8.5 kilometres to go. Now coming across the road, the gap is starting to close just a little bit, but still 30 seconds is significant. What are the fatigue levels like for these two, though? How many matches have they burnt? Do they believe? Can they pull this off? It has been done before. Niels Sinchik did it back in 2023. The big Dutchman who was out in front for much of today's stage. Amazing just having a look at the clothing on the riders these days. It's basically equipment, incredibly aerodynamic, incredibly tight. No bagginess. They used to go with the old traditional cycling jerseys. Helmets, everything. Even tyres these days are designed aerodynamically. So, no real organisation still in that chase group. Looks a little bit more spread out now, which says the pace is back on. Anytime you see that group wider on the road, it generally means it's relatively slow. As we look back out over this Gita National Park. Stunning, stunning mountain range. going to get tactical very quickly. Look at that peloton. They've got them in sight now. Emmanuel Buchmann, he might just ride himself up, but it might just be a lot of matches that he's burnt, because I do think the peloton will get them. And we will have a sprint finish, and then it's an opportunity for Hanoch Mulubrand to look to try and win the stage. Probably the best sprinter amongst the riders in this group, with the pure sprinters, well, not really surviving the climb as expected. So 12 seconds it's down to now, we are told through race radio. So the last time that Emmanuel Buchmann, the man from Cofidis there in third place, last victory was 3 years and 19 days ago, and that's when he won the National Championship of Germany. So it's been a long time between drinks for the 33-year-old. Now, 6.7 kilometres to go. It's going to come down to reconnaissance, being aware with that last kilometre, the left-hand turn. And then it's a 300-metre sprint up the road. It's going to require a lot of mental fortitude, and it's going to require a lot of concentration. We saw a crash on day one in the city of Xining, the capital of the Qinghai province. In the last 500 to 600 metres, we saw the peloton come down at the back. Again, just through fatigue more than anything. But great ride here from Emmanuel Buchmann, his ability to ride onto these two. That's not easy, to leave the peloton and bridge the gap. So this is in their benefit to have a third rider now. I'll give Buchmann a little opportunity to have a bit of a break, and then he'll come through, pull his turn, as we still have a look here at Santiago Umba. And now our man in yellow is taking his turn to try and bridge it down, and Mulubrand will ride through. So it's 1 and 2 on GC, who are doing the chasing. Jonathan Cathido of the World Top Roader Chengdu team, there in the yellow jersey. And now also coming through, by the looks of it, one of the teams from Bardiani CSF 7 Sabre, might be number 17 there. Just trying to pick it up. 5.2 kilometres to go. It looks like it's just starting to stretch back out, these three riders. There's no point for Bardiani, who've got 4 or 5 riders in this group, just to allow these three to get up and go 1, 2 and 3 in the stage. They need to get organised. They need to start working together here. Leading Star won't do anything. We've got riders there from Team Pulte Visit Malta as well. And now it is the boys from Astana who I think have decided enough is enough. And sometimes you've just got to take the impetus. You've just got to be the team that does it. Can't just keep asking everybody else. Your yellow jersey, your potential yellow jersey, your potential race lead still up the road. And here comes Emmanuel Buchmann, Santiago Umba, Jan Castellón, the Spanish rider. They come through one of many bridges, 3.8 kilometres to go. That is the Yellow River. The pain train is on its way, folks. Not too far away from more fireworks. Who grabs the stage? How does it affect the overall GC of this race? You go back and look at the time bonuses available. And that will be a 10-second time bonus for the winner, 6 seconds for second. Have they left it too late? Did the 3 riders stay out in front? Three kilometres to go. So it'll be a 6-second time bonus for second, 4-second time bonus for third. And so I just have a sneaking feeling these three might just survive. We could have a really good stage victory for one of them. And there he is, the African Continental Champion, Mahawi Kudus, another one of these remarkable riders out of Eritrea. That is the gap. It's going to be close, folks. Which one of these three does it? Will it be Emmanuel Buchmann, the great one, former national road racing champion of Germany, 4th at the Tour de France? Who's got the legs? Who's the best sprinter of the three? They can't afford to look at each other. They know they're close. Less than coming up to the 2 kilometre to go mark. They might just have done enough. Here comes the main peloton. Equally, though, the opportunity is still there for Heinok Mulubrand to try and still get a 1 or 2 second gap between himself and Jonathan Cathado, and therefore move into the yellow jersey. If they finish in a big bunch finish, it won't matter. They'll all be given the same time. It's been a remarkable stage, but now the hunt is on. You can see the main peloton. Buchmann, he is just suffering like you cannot imagine. You go back here, have a look at the form of Jean Castellion. He still looks very, very comfortable, number 37. Santiago Umba sits there second wheel. Do they believe? Can they hang on? The chase group is on its way. It still doesn't look that organised. These three might just do it. Would be a remarkable achievement if they do. Buchmann might just be the most comfortable, the man from Cofidis. 1 kilometre to go. They will have to take a hard left-hand turn shortly, and then the big run up to the finish line. They're about to approach it. Settle back, folks. Here we go. One of these three will win the stage. It's been a remarkable performance. Who takes it? Will it be Buchmann, who hasn't won in more than 3 years? Will it be the youngster from Caja Rural, Young Castellion? Will it be the Colombian, Santiago Umba? The rest of the group swing around. The game of cat and mouse begins. 10-second time bonus. Santiago Umba looks to try and attack. The man in the blue driving home. Young Castellion from Caja Rural. I don't think he can hold it. I certainly don't think Samuel Buchmann's got it. What a victory here for Santiago Umba. Takes the stage. That is a remarkable victory for him. Wow, that is good. Stunning performance from the man from Solution Tech, Nippo Rally. Unbelievable. That is a stunning, stunning performance. One of just courage, belief, determination. The 23-year-old from Colombia wins the stage in one of the great races. You have to be comfortable with your head above the clouds. Well, this is one man who truly is. A performance for the ages. He's absolutely delighted, and so he should be. Go back, have a look at it. Well, really, Young Castellion, and along with Emmanuel Buchmann, they were just burnt too many matches. They were just too tired. And when it's all said and done, Santiago Umba wins the bike race. And isn't he thrilled? Breakthrough performance for the man from Solution Tech. Only a young man, big future. Animated discussions going on there between the Astana boys and Jonathan Cathato, the man in the yellow jersey. Now we'll have to get an idea of whether or not the likes of Hainak Mulubrandt got a bit of a jump and maybe found an extra second or two. Let's have another look here. Just rode them off as well, which is not an easy thing to do, but that was just fatigue. Valuable seconds on GC. Really courageous performance by Emmanuel Buchmann to get himself a top 3 finish. Left that main peloton, bridged the gap. A wonderful moment, isn't it? Great to see the emotion. So, plenty of opportunity to sit back and reflect as we look back over the town of Gita. It's another big day tomorrow as we confirm the results for you. And let's just run through that Hainak Mulubrandt, 4:28.51. Now, let's have a look where our yellow jersey finished. As we just run through those results again. And so based on that, we might just have, unofficially, a new race leader. Might have just been enough for Hainak Mulubrandt to move himself into the yellow jersey unofficially. He was 1 second back. He might have picked up 2 seconds on the finish line. So we'll have to sit back and wait. It's great to see the great Saeed Savradeh in there. One of the great riders out of Iran. Former winner of the blue jersey for the top Asian rider. A really experienced campaigner. Alex Talio, very good ride from him as well. Matthew Greenwood, great performance for the young Australian. Jonas Rapp, German, who was superb yesterday, having another very good day today. We'll take in some highlights of what has been another remarkable stage, and we look forward to having your company, of course, for stage 5 tomorrow, which will be between Gida and Gongja. But settle back, enjoy this. Stage 4 of the 25th edition of the magnificent tour of Qinghai.